I am not a huge fan of bats. I like Batman, vampire movies. I even kind of like Morbius. You're welcome, Marvel, but I don't like bats. I've never had a terrible scarring experience with bats, but I just don't like them. I know, they eat a lot of bugs, and I'm grateful for that. But maybe it's just the fact that they fly around whisper quiet and then they do a Top Gun flyby. And let's be honest, they're not exactly cute and cuddly. Basically, they freak me out. My wife isn't a huge fan either. So here's the story. One night at dusk, I was walking in my front yard and noticed about 6 bats that silently tumbled out from behind the brick near the roofline of my house, and then they flew off into the woods. I've noticed bats cruising around our yard since we built our house about 20 years ago, but I didn't know they were our roommates. So gross. Ugh. Sorry, bat lovers. And there are all those stories about how bats get tangled in people's hair. Ace Ventura wasn't a fan either, if I recall. Anyway, the next day I called a local pest control company to take a look. They inspected the house to find that yes, we had a colony of bats roosting behind our brick. I immediately hired them to bat-proof the house and create an exit where the bats could leave but not get back in. In theory, anyway. They said it would take about 2 weeks for all the bats to vacate the premises. A couple nights later, there was a lot of activity in the wall next to the newly created exit. I went outside to check on things and was greeted by a ton of bats squawking in the exit area. I figured this was normal. It is not normal. The first bat in the house was found by my son. It was laying in his bathtub when he opened the curtain to take a shower. We weren't sure how the bat got in, and we were a bit confused since they were supposed to be moving out, not bathing. I called the pest control company and I was told that one just probably got confused and came in through some nook or cranny. They said this was normal and shouldn't happen again. The next night, I was silently dive bombed in my living room by a bat. The next night, 3 bats were suddenly flying around me while I was watching SportsCenter. Over the course of about 2 weeks, we had 15 bats in the house. They were behind paintings, on fireplace stone, between bookshelves, on boxes. One was even on my son's Lego Millennium Falcon. It didn't choose Lego Batmobile, though. The simple fact was that the bats weren't leaving. They were moving in. And when I would check the exit area outside, they sounded really, really angry. My favorite bat altercation was when I was going to shut some curtains and a bat flew right at my face, sending me reeling backwards where I flipped over a chair, hit my head, and cut my leg open on a shelf. That was bat number 9, I think. For some reason, I don't remember everything about that one. I contacted the company multiple times and they finally came to inspect the exit area. They found the exit opening was too small. The bats couldn't get out. So they were doing whatever they could to be free, which meant coming into our house. And it was all the company's fault. 15 bats in 2 weeks. I was grossed out. My wife was grossed out. My kids were grossed out. So the company recognized the problem, but they didn't seem to care. They chose the no big deal token. When I told them how many bats were invading our home, and that one even led to me flipping over and cutting my leg, the company rep said, "You should have recorded that. You probably could have made a lot of money." Which is probably true, but it actually just pissed me off. At no time did anyone from the pest control company even apologize. Until I said, no one has even apologized for this. The rep then said, oh, well, obviously we apologize. I don't think it's obvious that you apologize unless you, apologize. For over 2 weeks, we experienced a creepy, silent home invasion of at least 15 bats. We still wonder if some are just biding their time. 2 weeks. 15 bats, and the company took the no big deal token. So I was forced to take the opposite. I will no longer work with that company ever again, and I will not recommend them to anyone either. Remember, when a customer has a poor experience, you have a choice of 2 tokens, the no big deal token or the it's the end of the world token. Whichever you pick, the customer is going to choose the other.